Just making it to the finals of the Chili Bowl Grand Nationals is a very difficult task, and it can be tremendously frustrating. You're looking at the B feature taking place on the racetrack in front of you right now. This is the last chance for these drivers to get into the main event. Quite a field, Jeff.
I'll tell you, these are guys that you usually see in A features all over the country. Jack Hewitt, we saw a local favorite there, Andy Hillenberg, Johnny Herrera, Mike Stryker. This is going to be a good race.
Getting ready to go green. Now that is Wisconsin's Dean Erfurth firing off from the inside line. We had about 100 cars enter this competition this weekend. It's 3 days of competition. When it is all over before the main event, there will have been 25 preliminary races, including this one, and the drivers who finished in the first 7 of their main events on Thursday and Friday, they've already gotten in, so 14 cars have qualified. Only the top 5 finishers from this race will move on to the championship final. Several opportunities to restart this race, and on this attempt, problem for a local favorite.
Andy Hillenberg got over Aaron Truax's right rear tire. Just got a little bit over anxious there and got in trouble.
Jeff, this is frustrating on a track like this because he knows it's hard to pass.
And the start of a race is so important. Anytime you can pick up a position on a restart, it's very important.
And that is Gary Howard, who drove into him. Both of those drivers were exceedingly fast in their Thursday night preliminaries, and they looked to be shoo-ins to get in. Hillenberg's crew put his car back on the wheels. They worked feverishly on it in the infield while they were trying to restart this race, and almost got it done, but they did not. And Andy Hillenberg, a favorite to win this thing, didn't qualify. Back to this first B main, a great race.
A really good battle between Jimmy Sills here and Dean Erfurth. You see Jimmy's keeping the momentum through the middle of the corners there, and Dean's right on the bottom and doing a pretty good job at it. You really have to have a lot of patience to run around the bottom.
The red number 97, Aaron Berryhill, another Tulsa area driver. The blue number 21 from Ohio was Jack Hewitt. That was the battle for third position. You can see the official finish of the first B main. By the way, the Chili Bowl got its name from a locally produced food product, which was the original sponsor of this event. Well, they're no longer around, but when you think about it, it's still a very appropriate name, isn't it? Chili in reference to the weather out of doors, and of course bowl because it is the season of college and professional bowl games. And if the last couple of seasons are any indication, the Chili Bowl, because of its success, is going to be around a long time. We will be back right after this. At action in the second B main, probably the toughest race to get into the main event through. In this race are Gene Jeniton, Leland McSpadden, Keith Kaufman, Billy Bolt, Randy Roberts, Pay Jones, all normal feature winners at a typical race night.
Right here we've got a great battle going on between Billy Boat, Gene Jeniton, and Paige Jones, and a couple others right there behind him.
The first 5 get in. Right now, Jones is in 6th. Jeniton in the yellow and orange number 56 is in 4th position. And there'll be a little excitement back there just before the end of this race. That's Tommy Estes in a red car behind the 2 of them, and Leland McSpadden down on the inside.
Yeah, you see Leland, he's working it hard. The track is starting to get slicker on the bottom, but the bottom is the only way around this racetrack right now. And you see Dick Kaiser, he's really got his car hooked up, and it's working well around the bottom.
One of the Sun Prairie, Wisconsin track drivers, perhaps more Sun Prairie drivers were here than anyone else. It's really a hotbed of racing up there in Wisconsin.
You can see the red number 6 car, Tommy Estes Jr. on the outside, trying to make his own groove. He knows he's not in a transfer position, so he's just trying to get something that works.
Dirt can also be very frustrating. You're about to see emotions flare. You just get upset. There's something about dirt that angers you, isn't there, Jeff?
You're absolutely right there, Larry. And here we go. This is our final transfer spot. Paige Jones on the inside in the black car gets into Gene Jeniton really hard.
It was controversial. Paige Jones' fault, Jeff. Here's your chance to make a call.
Well, I'll tell you, he definitely got into the infield, and it's hard to say when you run out of racetrack what exactly happened here. But I would say Paige got a little bit too anxious there. He knew it was the last chance to get into the A main.
Well, difficult call. Let's hear from the antagonist and the protagonist of this incident.
Jeniton run me in the infield 1 lap, and you know, he left it a little bit wide on the entry, and I come in and he just closed it down, and we got together.
You're okay?
I'm fine.
Well, Gene, obviously there's always 2 sides to every story. Can you tell us your version from inside your cockpit?
Well, we just had got the white flag, and there was no passing on the top side. I know that. And and I knew I had to protect the bottom lower groove. And so I just hugged the bottom. I had the groove. I was there all by myself. The next thing I know, I seen a car come flying through the infield, up over the berm, and just plowed like full throttle plumb into me.
One of the most popular things to do during the Chili Bowl weekend is to check out the manufacturer's midway. Of course, there's plenty of race cars on display. There's also things for the serious racer, safety gear, complete sprint cars that you can buy, and for the souvenir collecting race fan, everything from t-shirts to ball caps and anything else you can think of. But our favorite, this no fear gear wanted for
To Tulsa's Chili Bowl. Now, I've come down out of the booth to examine what I think is the most fascinating and the most result-determining factor of this race, and that is the track itself. Now, the track is disc between events to try and keep a cushion up there. It's been very moist all week long, and this thing has been prepared just beautifully. It's hard to believe that this is just a temporary racetrack. The groove down here in the bottom is still a little tacky here, even late on a Saturday night after 3 nights of racing. The track has been so tight all weekend long, though, the cars have been getting too good of a bite. They've been bicycling. We've had like almost 20 tip-overs. I think in the main event tonight, though, it's going to dry out, and the winning groove may be down on the bottom.
Now here are a few of the sights and sounds of this almost week-long happening event here. But of course, as a driver, I'm not interested in those things. What I'm interested in is, what is this racetrack going to do? Is it going to be a bottom groove racetrack, a top groove racetrack? How am I going to set up this race car for this race?
What do you expect now as you get set for the main event?
I think it'll be both grooves for a little while, and then it just depends how hard they tear it up. The top might come in, or it might go back to the bottom. It just depends how deep they tear it up.
From what you've seen, are you going to do anything special to the car?
Nah, we'll be okay.
We mentioned earlier that dirt can be frustrating. Things happen on a dirt track that happen nowhere else. It's not the precision of pavement. A year ago, Kenny Schrader started on the front row, but watch what happened as he and Sammy Swindell in the black 71 went down the back straightaway. This is lap run in front of the entire field. Schrader had to go to the rear. He did come back. He did finish 7th, but this was disappointing.
Yeah, last year we just called we got a little crowded up there and got turned around, and the car was good. I mean, yeah, we got a good chance to win this thing along with everybody in the A. I mean, the cars that wind up in the air, A here, top 24, 100 guys checked in. It's just tough.
You know, everybody in racing likes to brag about you go to Bristol and the whole field is within 1 second. It's about as tough as make this race as Bristol, Tennessee, isn't it?
Oh, it doesn't get any tougher. I mean, when you got good sprint car drivers here and all the midget drivers that normally run, fast in the open wheel cars and dirt, and you get a good surface like Lanny and them would always have here. It is tough, real tough.
Only 2 make football Super Bowl, and only 25 have made this year's Chili Bowl Grand Nationals, and it's just as difficult. Starting lineup on the pole, first time ever in a midget sprint car, great Dave Blaney. Ken Schrader out on lap 1 a year ago.
Row number 2, we got Marty Davis, one of the many drivers from Wisconsin. Outside of him, Danny Lasowski.
In the 3rd row, side-by-side cars, number 11C, that's Sammy Swindell, teammate to Schrader, and Brent Kading, California Charger on the outside.
Row number 4, another Wisconsin native, Dan Bors, and on the outside of him, Kevin Doty, a really tough midget driver.
Row number 5, Scott Hatton from Roscoe, Illinois, and number 72, Ron Schumann, the Tempe, Arizona driver.
Row number 6, Shane Carson, Oklahoma native, and Steve Knepper, one of the Belleville greats.
And the 7th row, the last guys to make it through their preliminary mains, Kevin Olson and Kenny Irwin in the Wind Spirit sponsored car from Indianapolis, Indiana, the surprise in the top 14. Now here are the rest of the cars as they are lining up for this 50-lap main event. You can see some of the top names in open wheel motor racing, both from the midget and sprint car ranks, have worked their way into this race.
We're sitting pretty far back in this field, which you wouldn't normally see that.
It will be very difficult, and this is just a little quarter-mile racetrack. There's Jack Hewitt, one of the hardest chargers in the entire country. He starts in 23rd position. Donnie Lehman, who's had an odyssey getting here, 2nd in his C main. He worked up to 5th position from 16th start in his B main. It gets to a point where you have to take chances to exceed in this race, Jeff.
All I can say is ladies and gentlemen, sit back, strap yourself in, because this is going to get really exciting.
It's only a little quarter mile, but you'll never see any more action in any form of racing than you will right here. Maybe Bristol and stock car, Jeff. Comes close.
Oh, I don't know. I don't even know about Bristol. Bristol's pretty exciting, but this is as good as it gets.
How tough is it?
You know, 50 laps on this little joint, you start getting in lap cars, it could take out the top 2 or 3, and all of a sudden you're running from 5th to 2nd. You know, I mean, you can make some big jumps here just with somebody else's bad luck, and, 50 laps on this little joint's a long time.
I've always felt that dirt is much more demanding to a racing driver. Your job is to organize what amounts to mass confusion. Pavement, the concentration level is a little different. It's precision. But on dirt, there's so many things happening.
Exactly, Larry, and especially on a small track like this, you never get a chance to rest. These guys are going to be hard at it for 50 straight laps, except for a few yellows. I'm sure there's going to be a few yellows here because this track is, just the way it's set up, cars are really, really getting tippy.
Don't think we're going to go green all the way, huh? That's Ohio's Dave Blaney bringing the field around. Kenny Schrader to the outside row. We've got a green flag, and Schrader gets bumped from behind by Marty Davis. He's almost taken out on lap 1 for the 2nd year in a row.
He doesn't want to start out again like he did last year, but immediately Schrader goes to the bottom.
Schrader's down on the bottom. Dave Blaney has chosen that area we've described as cushion, and Blaney bicycles.
They're already getting a little bit tippy, so I expect we're going to see a lot of that tonight.
That black car in the very middle of your screen, one of the surprises of tonight's race. That's Kenny Irwin Jr. in the Wins car. He started 14th. He's already 7th.
And Kenny's not much of an expert on dirt. He does a lot more pavement racing on IRP back in the Midwest.
There is Blaney still choosing that high lane. Kenny Schrader, it's a conservative line down there. He thinks that the cushion will go away and that he will actually be faster staying down in the bottom a little later in this race.
I think right now everybody's just trying to test the waters of the racetrack. They're just wanting to see.
There is Danny Lasowski. He has just jumped the cushion in that red and white number 1. Lasowski in 4th position. Here was the Knoxville champion from this year. He had an excellent chance to do well in this race.
He tested the cushion a little bit too much
he
there.
did, yeah. We mentioned the word Knoxville. That is perhaps the most famous sprint car racetrack in the country. My respects to Earl Baldus at Eldoret, Ohio. Here's the top 5. We're getting ready now to go back to the green flag. Let's see where Blaney selects this time. He'll look at the track during this yellow flag period and make a decision.
Yeah, I think you're right, especially here coming down for the restart. Everybody is probably going to want to get as good a start as they possibly can. Again, here we go, green. Dave Blaney's got a really good start off the bottom. He goes directly back to the top.
I'm surprised, I really am, because you figure he has to protect his position, but it's working so well up there. Look at that lead. He's got about 4 or 5 car lengths already on Schrader. Plus, up there, he can look over his left shoulder and see everything that's going on, Jeff.
Well, I think he probably chose to set his car up for the top. That's where he likes to run in the midgets or the sprint cars. That's just where Dave likes to run. He's a good driver when it comes to run the cushion.
And if you make a slight mistake like Marty Davis did in corner number 4, the Wisconsin driver, it really sets you back. Here's Donnie Lehman. We've chronologued his odyssey in getting into this main event. I mean, it was very difficult. He probably drove as many laps on this track. And we've had a tip over also. That's Kenny Irwin Jr. Now, the left rear wheel is missing. Don't know if that came off first or as a result of the accident. Let's take a look at it.
We're coming down here. Yeah, that's exactly what happened. It looked like his left rear either broke or the axle broke or something came loose. Now let's go to Ralph and hear from Kenny.
Kenny, the first question, obviously, are you okay?
Yeah, fine. I think we lost a wheel or a wheel broke or something. I'm really not sure what happened. We were hooked up on the outside, too. It's got a good outside groove here, and I mean, we were going to the front.
Flying tire, by the way, apparently headed toward the grandstands, hit the wheel fence, bounced back onto the racing surface, caused no problems. So as they load up the Wins Calderwood sponsored number 7K car, let's hear about Danny Lasowski.
Danny, can you tell me what happened down there?
It's what you call a major league driver error. I hit the kill switch.
So now you got to fight your way back through the back. Can you do it? Are you changing some things to the car that might help you?
We're changing the car, and we did it last night, by golly. We're going to try her again.
Larry, one of the interesting things about midget car racing is a family affair when it comes time to help out a fellow competitor. If you take a look on the ground, that's Andy Hillenberg changing the tire, his crew chief Brewster giving him a hand, and on the other side, talking to Danny Lasowski, talking with him about what to do, is Paige Jones. Paige's car owner, Larry, is back there as well. It is a real team effort here of good friends trying to help their buddy get to the front.
Under red at the Chili Bowl, there are a lot of war games going on.
Dave, so far this seems to be your racetrack tonight. Why is it so good for you?
I don't know. They got the car set up real well for the top of the racetrack, and that seems to be the best part so far. So just keep a watch on and see if the best part stays up there.
Do you think it will change? And if so, are you going to make any changes here now to think ahead for that?
We're putting a little harder tire on it. It's taking it off a little bit more than we like. So that's all we're going to do right now.
Sounds like Dave's expecting a few more red flags before the night's over.
It does.
While Schumann decides to stay in the car, others are outside investigating.
Sammy, you bicycled there at one point in those early laps. Is the car set up the way you want, or are you going to have to make some changes?
Well, we made a couple changes, you know, being with a new car, new people and stuff, sometimes you just don't hit it exactly right. The car's not bad. There was just a little bit of a ridge right there. I happened to catch it just a little wrong. We wanted to have the car tight, but, you know, wasn't expecting on doing that and losing so many spots.
How tough is it for you to have to climb out of the car now, take a breather, and get back and do it again?
Well, that's not bad. You know, we just, we're making a couple changes, and you hope that's right. But, you know, you just get back in there and do it again.
Blaney and Swindell among the survivors. There are the top 5 at this early junction in the Chili Bowl Nationals. Drivers like Leela McSpadden, Paige Jones, Keith Kaufman, all these people failed to make this main event. Andy Hillenberg from Oklahoma, Johnny Herrera, former National USAC champion, Mike Stryker, and Stan Fox, but now almost ready to go back to green. It's Dave Blaney's privilege, Jeff, to bring the field around.
We're going to find out who made the right decisions there at that red flag.
We are indeed. So Blaney fires off, goes into corner number 1. Oh, somebody has done a run and upside down. In corner number 2, out of the top 5, that is Marty Davis, the Racine, Wisconsin driver who had had a great weekend up until this point.
No, either he just caught a rut the wrong way, or at that red flag, he chose to do the wrong thing.
He may have made the wrong decision. They're checking with Marty. It did not appear to be an injury-threatening type of rollover. He got that rut. The cars here in the corners, they drop down to like 55, 60, 65 miles an hour. And though it is very precarious, it's not a particular dangerous situation. Let's see if we can figure out what happened, Jeff.
Now here we're going into turn 1 here. And I mean, that shows it right there. That's how easily you can get yourself in trouble. It looked like what happened was the track was packed in there, and you can't even see the ruts. You can't even see the soft spots, and he just got in a little bit sideways and hooked a rut.
We mentioned that Davis had a good week. He finished second in his preliminary main event on Thursday night. There's another angle of him hitting that same rut. And when the car gets up in the air, when it starts bouncing, there really is very little that you can do to save it.
No, not at all, especially something like that. When you get into a corner here, you're dedicated. You've already chose to make your move.
Well, there is Marty getting out of the car. You can see he stayed in the car until they put it back up on its wheels. No sense hurting yourself by taking the belts loose and falling down sort of ignominiously on the racetrack. Here's one more look at this. Davis hooking a rut and getting upside down. But as we mentioned, Marty Davis is okay, but unfortunately headed for a top 5. His night is over.
Marty, can you tell me what happened?
Yeah, I come down into 1 here. I just kind of hooked it a little too hard and it dumped over on me.
When a car goes over like that, tell me what the sensations are like on the inside.
Well, you get flung around pretty good, you know, pretty hard. The car wants to go one direction, your body wants to go another direction, you know, and when you catch up, it kind of hurts a little bit.
And we'll fling you back to the Chili Bowl, brought to you long red flag. It's almost like the start of a new season. So much time goes by, Jeff.
And this is a new season for all these drivers.
Yeah.
They're wanting to, I guess you could say, get started off to a bang, which they sure are doing that with all these yellows and reds we're having.
There's Jimmy Sills, by the way. Very interesting. He was knocked out of this race in our first red flag. He wasn't ready to go at the second restart, and when Davis flipped, we started this race without completing a lap. Jimmy had extra minutes. He got back out in the race without losing a lap.
Yeah, coming from the back like that's going to be tough, but he's got a good shot at it. Here we go, back to green flag.
Dave Blaney, Ohio. Ken Schrader, originally from Missouri, now North Carolina. And Kevin Doty, the red and white number 50, he's from Illinois. They're up front.
And we can see Dave Blaney going right back up to the top where he's building up a really nice cushion. Ken Schrader's down on the bottom. Here's where patience and frustration kind of come in together. It's so frustrating when you're on the bottom and you're trying so hard, you're barely on the gas, and yet you're gaining so little. But at the same time, it takes a lot of patience, and patience is one thing that Ken Schrader is excellent at.
You have to have a lot of confidence in your own ability to make judgments too, don't you?
Yeah, you sure do. And oh, now we have a spin. Andy Pierce, number 83 from Speedway, Indiana, gets a little loose. There in the black in the middle of the racetrack.
Andy is actually a local driver. He's living in Speedway now, but he's from the Tulsa, Oklahoma area originally. He struggled to get into it, but he persevered this week and got in. He was one of those 5th place finishers in his B main. Now here's how the cars will restart when we go back to green. Blaney, Schrader, Doty, Ron Schumann from Tempe, Arizona, holds on in 4th position. Schumann is a man who has been virtually unbeatable at the Turkey Night Grand Prix in the Los Angeles, California area. He's been one of the strongest midget drivers in America for a long time.
It seems like anytime Ron Schumann gets into a midget, he's really tough to beat, especially on a track like this, where it takes a lot of patience.
All right, 25 preliminary events preceded this main. It was very difficult to get into this race, and right now, a man who has never driven a midget before this weekend, Dave Blaney, leads this race. It's almost hard to believe that the hundreds, probably thousands of sprint car races he has participated in. It's the first time he's ever been in one of these little cars.
And I doubt whether it's going to be his last after his showing here. He's, I tell you, Schrader is doing a good job. It looks like Dave's trying to find a new groove on the outside. He's actually going over the top of the cushion so the car doesn't bite and get on 2 wheels. And Schrader's just picking at him on the bottom. It looks like he's making some ground.
The amazing thing is Schrader's probably going 15 to 20 miles per hour slower, and RPMs, what do you think, Jeff? Maybe 1,500 of them less than what Blaney's running?
I'm sure that's probably what it is, but yet he's cutting off a lot of ground there. He's making a shorter racetrack out of it.
Joust for 3rd place. The black car is Ron Schumann on the inside, that white car moving. That is California's Brent Kading. He has gotten around actually underneath Kevin Doty.
And it's funny to see Brent Kading on the bottom of the racetrack.
Yeah, it is.
Because Brent Kading is a gasser. He loves to get up on the cushion on the outside and just go for
it.
it.
Hey, we're in the Southwest. Is cowboy a fair word?
He's a cowboy, all right.
Brent Kading, as Jeff mentioned, is so unlikely to see him down here, but he just discovered he was probably watching what Schrader was doing. He can see Schrader. Schrader's only about 10 car lengths ahead. He said, hey, that's working for that guy. Let me try this.
And then again, we've got Ron Schumann on the outside. And Ron's usually the type of guy that likes to run the bottom of the racetrack, so he's on the top. These guys don't know what they're doing.
Well, the track changes so much. This is a temporary track. I mean, there's Kading really moving up alongside of Schrader, or moving up alongside of Schumann. But the track changes so much, particularly in these main events when there are 24 or 25 cars on it for a half hour.
We're still to the point in the race where nobody really knows which way they're going to go. The bottom could come in, the top might go away. You never know what's going to happen.
Yellow flag out. It's Donnie Lehman in that pink numeral number 31. We mentioned before, that's Shane Carson in the white car, by the way. Donnie Lehman has probably put more laps and gone through more trials and tribulations than anybody to get here. But he has persevered, and to his credit, he is in this race. Sometimes this happens in these main events, cars running in the back. There's always a lot of traffic involved in a race like this, and no matter if you're running first, 10th, or last, there are cars around you constantly in a 50-lap race on just a quarter mile.
You know, all of these yellows, a couple red flags now, these guys, they're still trying to figure out what the racetrack's going to do. Now, it looks like the bottom groove was starting to come in. Ken Schrader looked really tough on the bottom. The top groove, it's a good groove, but it's so unstable. The cars, if you don't get in just right, the cars will get really tippy and start to bicycle. Here we go back to green again.
It's like a game show. Which category would you like? Can you answer the question correctly? Just how fast can I go?
And to go fast on the bottom, you got to slow down to go fast.
Yeah, slow down to go fast. Okay, Here's how it stacks up. There is Blaney. He goes back up top. That's Schrader on the low side. And that is Ron Schumann uncharacteristically. Also up in the cushion. Fourth running Brent Kading. He's in the bottom. So first and third are high. Second and four are low.
Saw a little peek there of Sammy Swindell coming back up through the back of the field. And I believe Danny Lasowski's moving his way back up also.
Lasowski has moved up. Danny Borst is still unofficially in 6th. Scott Hatton is 7th. Kevin Olson is 8th. You're looking at 3rd place on the screen right now. And in 9th, unofficially, is Dean Erfurt.
And again, here we go back to the battle of Sammy Swindell. There he is. There's Sammy on the top, and he's the kind of guy you'll hardly ever see on the bottom of the racetrack, but he's good in top, bottom, doesn't matter.
20 laps down, 30 to go. That's Brent Kading going very slowly down in the bottom. Boy, Schrader was really moving slow coming out of corner. Oh, and he's pulled off the racetrack. Ken Schrader, I thought the car was going slower even with the slow speeds of the low groove demands that time, and Schrader is out of it.
That's a shame. You know, Kenny had a really good run going and just tough luck.
Kenny Schrader is now parked in the infield, so there are no drivers out there holding up the masthead for the Winston Cup or stock car gang. It's all open wheelers now from top to bottom. There is Sammy Swindell, Schrader's teammate.
Yeah, here I go talking about Sammy on the top groove, and now he goes straight to the bottom. And now Brent Kading's back up on the top. These guys, they're trying to fool me here.
They simply have chosen different categories, Jeff.
And there we got Jack Hewitt popping into the picture now. Now Jack, he's the rim rider. He loves the cushion.
What a performance for Hewitt. Back to that in a second. We've had another spin. That's Kevin Olson, another former national USAC champion, driver from Rockford, Illinois, the clown prince, if you will, of midget racing. We're mentioning about Hewitt, Jeff. Hewitt started this race in 23rd position, and he has moved up to 6th. So quite a performance by the Ohio driver in that bright blue number 21.
Kenny, can you tell me what happened to the car?
Nah, I don't know what happened, but it was running good and just quit. It just shut off.
With the racetrack the way it is, how do you see it shaping up?
Well, I didn't really get a chance to see who's running that good. Blaney was still faster than us, but I think top was going to slow down more than the bottom was, so we were just still waiting.
And you were running that bottom groove, seemed to be really working for you, too.
The little car felt good down there, just didn't run long enough.
So the Kodiak AC Delco driver in the Hooters car, somebody that you're close to, is out of the race.
Yeah, just a little bit of a teammate there at Hendrick Motorsports this year, so I'm looking forward to that.
All right, we're all set to go back green. Just about, incidentally, previous winners in this race include Scott Hatton. He won back in 1988. Johnny Heidenreich failed to qualify. He's a winner here. Sammy Swindell, as mentioned earlier, he has won twice. McSpadden, the 1991 winner, second a year ago, he didn't make it. And, of course, the inaugural Chili Bowl Grand Championship winner was Rich Vogler. Here he comes on the fast break.
Let's see what groove they're going to choose this time.
Now Blaney goes up top. Let's see. That's Schumann down bottom. Kading is down low. And up in the attic is also Sammy Swindell this time.
Now Schumann goes right back up to the top. They just can't decide which way they want to go. I think right now both the inside and the outside are pretty equal.
A very good point. A mark of an excellent racetrack, Jeff. I think that, KO again around. The top continues to spin.
Quit clowning around, KO.
Kevin Olson, we make jokes about it, but just to have obtained the accomplishment of getting into this 25-car field was quite a mark. Another mechanical victim is Jimmy Sills.
Jimmy, what happened to your car?
Well, a nut came off the arm that holds the throttle on the shaft, and so it would idle, but no more than that. And actually, idle is just about all you need here tonight, but down the straightaways took a little more than that.
How difficult is it to get the car to run fast here tonight? You said all you need is an idle.
You just got to be real patient in the corner and let the car stay down on the bottom. Just use the moisture down on the bottom part of the straightaways.
Sills is convinced, Jeff, that the bottom is the place to go. You sold yet on that?
I don't know. It's two equals. I'm just really not sure. I think if your car's set up real well on the top, then you need to go to the top. But it looks like a lot of the guys are choosing the bottom. Maybe there's just a little bit more moisture and the cars are a little bit more stable on the bottom.
Approaching halfway, there's Erfurth in the number 2 going by, the white, silver, and red trim number 4. That's Tony Stewart from Indianapolis. Remember, he almost won his Thursday night preliminary. Jumped the cushion in the last lap. Oh, they're stacking up 2, 3, and maybe almost 4 deep in the back. So we go back to the green flag, approaching the halfway point. Up top goes Blaney, and following suit this time is Ron Schumann. There's Brent Kading. Kading says, hey, it's darker down there in the bottom. We'll see if this works.
Brent Kading's making some ground up on the bottom also. He looks like maybe his car's just now starting to come in on the bottom. He's been working it and working it. Maybe he's finally found the groove and the right way to get around that bottom.
Kading has picked up some real miles per hour down there. Remember, he was lagging back in 4th, 5th, almost back in 6th position a few laps ago. And right now, he's definitely gaining ground.
Watch that right rear tire. If we can get a good shot of, look, it looks like there's hardly any air in the right rear tire. It's bouncing around, but yet that's the only way to get to hook up around that bottom.
When you have less air, the weight of the car sits more on the race track. And yes, it makes the tire more vulnerable, but as Jeff points out, they got very low air pressure in there, but it gives them a great bite.
Yeah, a lot more grip. And, you know, again, here we go back to, we got the top, the bottom, and they're really not making any ground up. I think until you get into a rhythm, you get some laps down, that's when you're going to notice one groove to be better than the other.
Brent Kading there in the white red trim car on your screen. Big Hulk strapping type fellow. He looks like a linebacker in a college football team. Bred in his late 20s. And on the outside of that black car, one of the veterans of this type of racing, Ronnie Schumann, who is 30 something. More of a Mario Andretti build sort of like yours, actually.
Well, you know, a big guy can manhandle these cars, and you see Steve Kinzer and guys like Brent Kading. These guys can really manhandle these little midgets, but it doesn't take a huge guy to drive these cars, as I once did one time.
Jeff, do you think the slightly lighter weight compared to the overall total weight of the car machine that somebody like Schumann or yourself has, is that an advantage in these little cars because they're so light?
Weight any time in a race car is an advantage. The lighter you can get them, the faster they're going to go, the easier the car is going to work. Right now it looks like
he is really moving up on you.
He is moving up, and it looks like the top groove is just, it's not stable enough. The cars are bouncing around.
Blaney is above the cushion there momentarily. Really gave Kading an opportunity to move in.
You notice there's a slick spot in turns 1 and 2, and they go through the middle of the corner, and there's really nothing for them to hook up to.
Kading has taken the lead. Brent Kading is our new race leader as he gets underneath the yellow light. Oh, what an unfortunate break for Brent Kading. There is Tony Stewart sitting sideways on the racetrack. Kading worked so hard to get to that position, and the moment that he scored, the gods took it away. The racing Thursday and Friday got into the main event, but they do something here I really like, Jeff. Yes, you get points for winning a race or finishing second, but you also get points for the number of cars you pass in the format of this program. Really rewards performance, not just finishing position.
Well, when you have this many cars, you're trying to squeeze everything in 3 days. That's really the only way that you can do it.
And it really does make for some exciting racing, because even the guys who start last in their heat race know that they put on a good performance. And look at here. Blaney says, I saw you down there, Kading. I'm not going to let you do that again.
That's right. The top's just going away. That's, you know, the only fact that you know that the top just is starting to go away. It's getting too slick. And Dave's no fool. He knows better. He's going down the bottom, and it looks like his car's working just as well or better than the rest of the guys.
Sometimes the top, in terms of the racing surface, doesn't go away. It's just that cushion gets pushed out there, and the track becomes so much longer. Takes you're actually going more than a quarter of a mile when you run up there.
Exactly. And it looks like a train going around the bottom of the racetrack there. Everybody is on the bottom except Schumann.
The Schumann car.
He, you know, here's my theory. My theory's always been you got to go where the other guy is on. Yep. And if you're going to make any ground, you know, that's the way to do it. Here we got another tangle, Shane Carson and Andy Pierce.
Yeah, both of them have been involved in other incidents tonight. It's turning out to be a torturously long evening for the two of them. Shane Carson, the racing promoter, he's been driving race cars for about 20-25 years. Really nice guy.
Shane says, I've had it. It doesn't look like there's a lot of damage to the cars or anything, but it's been a long night for Shane, and I think he's decided to just put it away.
On the other hand, Andy Pierce, being the young driver, fresh out of his teens, he probably wants to get back there and race. That happens to you when you're under 20 years of age, doesn't it, Jeff Gordon? You want to do as much racing as you possibly can. Let's go down and have a talk with Shane Carson, see where he stands.
Shane, can you tell me what happened out there?
Well, I just figured that was enough punishment for one night. I'm going to give it up.
Well, I think you called it, Jeff.
Yeah, well, you know, I know how those nights are too. I've had many of those, but you know, it just a little racetrack like this can wear down on you sometimes, and like Andy Hillenberg said earlier in the night, trying to stay out of trouble is going to be the key.
Dave Blaney, the former All-State basketball player in high school in the state of Ohio, who turned his attention to open-wheel driving shortly after his graduation from high school. His father is a longtime sprint car modified driver from Western Pennsylvania. Racing has been in the family blood from the very beginning, and Dave Blaney, along with his brother Dale, they're very excellent examples, and they represent the family well here in the 1990s.
Dave's finding out the way to stay out of trouble, and that's be out front and lead every lap.
It is the way to do it. And again, let's remind you one more time, Dave Blaney, interestingly, has never been in a midget before. And here we are now some 20 laps from the end of this race. We have another yellow flag. There is Dick Kaiser. Dick Kaiser was just nipped by Kenny Irwin Jr. on Thursday, getting into the main event, getting one of those free 14 tickets into it. He did work his way through his B main tonight. Kaiser is the latest victim of a spin here at Chili Bowl.
Now this is what makes it so tough for a guy that maybe it started in the back or maybe fell, spun out, something happened to him where he had to go to the back. When you have this many yellows, it's so hard. Every time you pass a car, then a yellow comes out, you got to go back a position.
It usually costs you. That's a very good point, doesn't it, Jeff?
Sure does.
It seldom works to your advantage. Okay, Blaney, Kading, Schumann, Kevin Doty, and look at here. Dean Erfurth, who started this race in 17th, is now 5th.
His name just keeps coming up. He's doing a great job.
All right, the first 5 on your screen there with about 60% of this race done. Running in 6th position, unofficially, incidentally, at this point in the race, is Aaron Berryhill. Scott Hatton is also there in the first 10. Danny Lasowski, Jeff mentioned him earlier. He's moved up from an early race spin. He's 8th position, having gotten around Sammy Swindell, who was 9th. Danny Bors, another one of those strong Wisconsin, Illinois area drivers. He is 10th. Bors always does well out here at Chili Bowl. Jack Hewitt in the blue number 21. He's had an up and down race. He was in 7th position at one point. He's dropped back to 11th. And now I notice he's a threat for top 10. Billy Boat, he continues to run competitively. And Kevin Olson, despite a couple of spins, is inside the top 15.
Talk about Jack Hewitt. Jack's known for his restarts, and he got a heck of a restart.
Exactly what do you mean by known for restarts? Does that mean good, or does that mean he pushes the envelope of fairness?
Depends on if he gets caught or not.
I see. So it's like a politician. It depends on who's talking about it and when they say it, eh?
Yeah, you're exactly right. You know, there are a lot of yellows in this race, but one thing we need to point out is it's not that we have a lot of rookies here or inexperienced race car drivers. We just have a very tricky racetrack here, and it's very close competition.
You just saw Sammy Swindell on the high side in that white car, second lane up on the high side of Scott Hatton. This may be his last chance. We're getting late in the race, and Swindell decided, if I have anything, I got to move now.
Well, and he's got a problem. It's like a freight train around the bottom there. He just can't get back to the bottom where the groove is now in the race. He was working the top. It went away. He's trying to get back to the bottom and just can't do it.
It almost seems unfair. Up at the top, you're very vulnerable. You fight the car. It jumps over the ruts. It's dangerous up there. And then down in the bottom, you just kind of cruise, and it's easy and safe, and yet it's still faster.
Well, it's really tough to run the bottom. Dave Blaney's doing an excellent job of that right now. He's keeping the car really straight. He's not spinning the wheels. It's so important and so hard to run the bottom. But right now, that's the way to go. You see there, Brent Kading, he's kind of hanging the rear end out. Not hooked up just quite as well as Blaney is, and Blaney's just got that car. It looks like it's on a rail around there.
Dave Blaney, the leader, as we're looking at the black number 72 right there. Ron Schumann, that's Kading on the inside in the white, red roll cage, yellow helmet. He is in 3rd position. For Dave Blaney, he's had just a tremendous winter months in late 1992. He only won one major race all of the 1992 season, and over the winter he got red hot. He was winning sprint car races. It looks like he may be en route to winning a midget race.
And with just a few laps left, these three cars right here, they know it. Second, third, fourth place. They're just running out of laps, running out of time, and Dave Blaney's just so dominant.
Boy, he really is. Is there any way of knowing exactly how much time is left?
Well, you know, you have it in your mind. Here we go. This is the last lap of the race. You know Dave knows. He just got the white flag.
Yeah. So Dave Blaney is bringing the freight train around, hugs the bottom of the racetrack, and he becomes the 7th winner of the Chili Bowl Grand Nationals here in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Many times these races go right down to the wire, but in this one, Dave Blaney owned it from top to bottom. Jeff, he led every lap, at least every one that counted.
Brent Kading did lead a lap. Unfortunately, they had to yellow flag and they had to invert back a lap, and that put Dave Blaney back in the top spot. Brent showed him his nose and showed him that the bomb was the way to get around there, and we will be back with the winner right after this.
Dave, congratulations on a tremendous win. You had to use 2 different lines. How come?
Well, the top of the racetrack was fast at first, and then I felt it start to go away, but you know, I couldn't get any signals from anybody, and then Brent got by me, and well, I just got really lucky with the yellow coming out, and I got back in front of him, and that was probably the race.
How difficult was it for you with all the different yellows and red flag situations tonight to keep yourself mentally into it?
It was a little hard on the top to keep your rhythm. It was a real hard cushion to run, but once we got going there, I was okay.
You had a good challenge coming at you from both Brent Kading and Ron Schumann, and they were running both of the grooves. Did you know where they were at all times?
Well, my guys just kept telling me where they thought I was the fastest, and that's where I ran. And like I said, it was touchy either groove there for a while, and we just happened to get the right one.
Larry Newber, Dave Blaney, your Chili Bowl winner.
A great weekend for Dave. He won his preliminary main event on Thursday. Ken Schrader, incidentally, won the Friday preliminary and main event. And Blaney comes back to pick up the championship in his first ever effort at a midget.
He ended 1992 on a good note and began 1993 on a good note.
It really was a nice winner. Now, a part of the week-long celebration here, there has been a trade show, a charity basketball game. You're looking again at Dave Blaney, the winner, is the awarding of special awards. Jack Hewitt, Hard Charger Award.
And not a surprise coming from Jack Hewitt. He's always a hard charger, and he definitely earned this one.
Started 23rd, finished 7th. Now the Ron Hughes Memorial Sportsmanship Award to Ken Schrader.
Poor Ken. He just keeps coming back, and he just hasn't quite got that win yet.
You're telling me he would rather have picked up first place in the Sportsmanship Award, right? There's J.W. Hunt enjoying some of the spoils in victory lane. Donnie Lehman, he wins the Doug Wolfgang Award. This is for perseverance.
And what a job Don did. He came from the C and the B features. That's quite an accomplishment.
Until 1994, when the Golden Driller welcomes us back to Tulsa Expo. So long from Chili Bowl. Today's race has been brought to you by Wins. Use Wins Car Care products because when it's Wins, it works. By Miller Genuine Draft and Miller Genuine Draft Light, taking the country by storm. And by GMC Truck.